DC winters are tricky. Hey, I am Chuck the bureaucrat, and recently I told you how there's a whole group of people who are just waiting to ruin your holiday vacation with work. But there's something else about the National Capital Region that will catch you off guard, and that is the snow. You see, Washington, D.C. is at this latitude where it only gets cold enough to snow in January and February. And that's how the weather tricks you. If you're from a cold place, like Minnesota, you're used to it getting cold enough to snow in November and December. So when Mr. Minnesota comes to Washington, D.C., and it doesn't snow in November and December, he assumes it's not going to snow at all. Meanwhile, you got folks from a warm place, like say Georgia. They come to the National Capital Region, and it doesn't snow in November and December just like they're used to, and they think that it's going to stay warm just like they're used to. And here's the thing. The DC metro area does get cold enough to snow in January and February. In fact, you're more likely to have snow on the ground in March than you are in November. So through the holidays, there most likely won't be any weather events that disrupt work. In fact, the only thing that does disrupt work during the holidays is everybody taking vacation. As a result, a lot of offices come back in January with the intent of hitting the ground running and getting a lot of work done before the summer move cycle starts. And that is when temperatures drop, snow hits DC, and everybody gets a nasty surprise. If you want to be on top of this, you'll watch weather reports on TV or radio, or you can go to the Office of Personnel Management's website and you can see the operating status for federal agencies. OPM is the chief human resources agency for the entire federal government. We've talked about them a couple of times in terms of writing position descriptions and knowing when there's going to be holidays. You can also keep your finger on the pulse of the OPM operating status by using their app. Historically, OPM has 3 operating statuses that they use whenever there's a major weather event. They'll have a delayed opening, either 1 hour or 2 hours. They'll have unscheduled telework, or they'll just be closed. Now, COVID kind of mucked everything up because lots of people started doing telework. But from this chart, you can see historically when there have been delays and closures. The important thing to notice here is that you can have closings lingering into March, because in DC, winter comes late and it hangs around. Now, at this point, Mr. Minnesota is thinking something like this. I grew up driving through 4 inches of snow. I don't understand what the big deal is. And sure, by the time it's mid-February, about 2 p.m., and everybody's getting really nervous because there's a snowstorm coming, Mr. Minnesota is going to be looking around at his employees and his coworkers with something that borders on contempt. But I got a message for Mr. Minnesota. When you were growing up on the outskirts of Mankato, I doubt you saw traffic like we have in the DC area. You see, the DC transportation network carries a heck of a lot of people, and it only takes one accident to cause a heck of a traffic jam. Your coworkers are not afraid of sliding off the road and getting stuck in a ditch. They're afraid of getting trapped in a traffic jam on a snowy highway for hours. This actually happened back in 2016. There was a major blizzard forecasted for the weekend, and everybody's attention was on that. But then there was a small snowfall, only about an inch, that fell midday on Wednesday. The commute home was a nightmare. This is the traffic map at 9 p.m., hours after the snow fell. There's a lot of people who remember this and have zero inclination to ever live through it again. So with all this in mind, there's something I would ask. I know you're comfortable driving in icy conditions, but set a good example. Your behavior can make other people overconfident in their ability to drive in snowy weather, and other people might feel pressured to drive in conditions that they don't feel safe in. Listen, there is a lot of work at the Pentagon, and I know that one missed day feels like a huge missed opportunity, but In the grand scheme of things, understanding how the system works more than makes up for a missed day in the office. So watch this playlist to see how you can leverage the layers of the Pentagon to achieve amazing things.